guys, this is Sam. Welcome back to another episode of
Where's the pictures?
Are you serious? AKA everything I did wrong when developing my own film at home. Recently, I've made the biggest mistake on my journey of home developing, which resulted in developing a completely blank roll. Yep, I know. I was devastated. I almost gave up on developing my own film altogether. I don't know what to say. So today, I feel like it's a good opportunity to share with you guys the 4 mistakes I made so far in the darkroom developing my own film. So hopefully this will never happen to you. I personally use a home developing kit to develop all my film, especially my C41 color films. I have a video here in my channel. I will leave a link somewhere. You can check it out if you want, but these mistakes I'm going to talk about can be made regardless of the tools you're using. So let's get started. Mistake number 1. After pouring the chemical in, I let the can sit for too long. This mainly applies to medium format film. After you pour your chemical into the can, get it rolling fast. Whether if you're agitated by hand or putting it on a rotation rail, if you let the can sit for too long, the film will get unevenly developed. You may see a clear line cross your negative like this. This is because the bottom of the film getting developed longer when the chemical is sitting still for too long. This mistake is somewhat fixable in post. You can get rid of the clear lines and manually smooth out the exposure and developing time differences. But I mean, it's better to not have it at the first place, right? Mistake number 2, chemical contamination. I started to use an open cork instead of a sealed lid when I first encountered the problem of the bubbling bricks pop open the lid. And then this leads to another problem. Since now the can is open, if I'm sometime not be careful with how much chemical I pour in, if I pour too much, or if I'm not careful when I'm mounting and unmounting the can from the turning wheel, some bricks might spill and leak into the water bath. And then the water might bleed into the next batch of developing. This will result in color shifting of your negative. You can see in these couple of photos, the brown color on the edge is pretty obvious. Use a sealed lid or use hand agitation without a water bath might help avoid this problem. If you see bricks drop into your water bath, you might want to change out the water before your next load. Also, clean your can and clean your chemical bottle good to avoid chemical contamination is very important for clean negative development. If this happened, you can also try to save it by editing out the color shift. It's kind of tough to completely remove the color differences, so I will say be careful at the first place. Next, mistake number 3, overlapping negatives. This also only happens when developing medium format films. The standard film will allow you to load 2 rolls of 120 films. The wheel I use has this little red stopper. And when the first roll is loaded, you close it in to stop the second roll from going forward. Then you load your second roll. If you load it correctly, one reel will take 2 rolls just fine. However, since this whole loading process is happening in the dark, you can't see it. Sometimes this 2 little stopper might not properly stopping the film from going forward. That would result in 2 films overlapping each other. When the 2 films sticks together, the chemical cannot evenly get to the surface of the film. So it will look like this. And yep, there is no saving from this. When this first happened, I thought I wasn't being careful, so I loaded up another 2 rolls very carefully. However, this happened again immediately after. Oh, I'm gonna cry. And it was even worse. From there, I was kinda scared to load 2 rolls of film onto 1 reel. And later, I asked around other film photographers who also developed their own film. There are 2 solutions that was suggested to me to avoid this. Solution number 1. After we load the first roll, there's always a piece of tape in the end. Instead of peeling it off, we can stick the beginning of the second roll together with the end of the first roll to make sure they will not overlap each other. Solution number 2. After loading the first film, turn the second roll upside down or inside out, however you call it, facing the opposite direction like this. Even if they overlap each other, there is a much better chance the film will not stick together and it will still get developed properly. They both technically sound like good ideas. But to be honest with you, I haven't tried these methods myself just yet because I have been developing 1 roll at a time like a coward. I will try it eventually. If you also tried it, please leave me a comment down below and then let me know how they turned out. And if you have better method to avoid this, also leave me a comment, let me know. One other important thing I've found is that if you're developing your film back to back, make sure to dry your film reel completely before you load your films. When the reel is wet, you will feel the resistance when loading, and that will confuse you about when the film is supposed to stop. I think with more practice, more you do it, better you can sense it without seeing it to know when the film should have stopped. So stop being a coward, go shoot more and go practice more, Sam. And lastly, the completely empty roll. I will give you 5 seconds to think what might happen. Just got my first super duper empty roll. When I first saw this roll came out completely empty, you cannot imagine how upset I was. I have no idea what happened. My first thought was, maybe there's something wrong with my camera. Maybe I didn't expose the roll. Maybe I didn't wind it properly. But I just used the camera not too long ago and everything was fine. Plus, if I didn't expose the roll, I supposed to still see the film name printed on the edge, right? But there's nothing. It is very clean. Then I thought it must be the chemical. Did I accidentally pour the wrong chemical? Did I use the bricks before the developer? But I was using a two-step bath. The color of the chemical are very different. There is no way I would pour the bricks before the developer, I would think. So, once again, I asked other film photographers. You know who you are? Thank you guys. I was told my chemical might be expired. Then I realized, yeah, I was using the very last bit of my developer I have set around for a while. Before I develop the role, I kind of feel like the developer looks a little bit too dark. But I was too lazy to mixing a whole nother batch of developer, and here we go. Mystery solved. I destroyed this entire row, and thanks to my cowardice, I only load one row onto the rail. Otherwise, 2 rows would be destroyed. Later, I also asked other film photographers how to tell if the chemical has lost its developing ability. The best suggestion I got is, when in doubt, just don't. Chemicals are not cheap, but it's cheaper than the film you shot. If your chemical has been sitting for too long, or it was exposed to sunlight, or if you see the color changed, or if it smells weird, or if you see precipitate in the chemical, just don't use it. If you're not sure, don't risk it. I should not have done it. Why? That being said, if you still have a whole lot of chemical left, or you feel comfortable taking the risk, you can do a snip test, which is, in short, cutting a piece of your film and putting it in the developer. If it turned out black, your developer should be fine. If the film looks very thin or looks even clear, you should use new developer. Cine Still Films YouTube channel has a pretty good video on how to test your film chemicals. It covers all sorts of chemicals from black and white to slide film. I will leave a link down below. You can go check it out if you want to know how to test your chemicals exactly and properly. Generally, film developing chemicals can last a pretty long time if it's stored properly. Store your chemical in a sealed bottle. Use proper containers. Keep it away from sunlight. And if you have those kind of bottle, you can remove the air. Even better. These steps will all help to preserve the chemical for longevity. I often feel like I'm a very clumsy person, and developing film is such a precise task. It's like baking. Well, that's why I don't bake. Shooting film is already a very delicate process. I constantly worry about if I exposed it properly, if I focused it on point, if the person I just took photo of blinked, and then back home, if I mix the chemical correct, if the temperature is good, if I time it right. Okay, and then I open the can, I see the negative, good, but how good it is, if my exposure is on point, if the color has shifted, I won't know until I scanned it and convert it. It's like I shot this photo 3 times. Once when I click the shutter, once when I see the negative, and then once when I see the scan. And after all of these carefully crafted steps, if there is a one good shot, now this shot looks even better. Alright, these are all the mistakes I made so far. Finger crossed. Hopefully I will never make these mistakes again, and don't worry, I will not give up on developing, and I hope this video is helpful for any of you who has been developing or thinking about developing your own films. Also, leave me a comment if you want to share any of other mistakes you've made so I can also learn from you. I hope all of our film come out nice and sound. This is Sam. I will see you next time. Bye!